In this training video, we'll look at how to handle an asymmetric spinnaker. The asymmetric spinnaker is flown from a retractable bowsprit which launches with the sail. Asymmetric spinnakers have now all but superseded conventional spinnakers in modern boat design. The large sail area delivers extra power to the boat, which will add a whole new dimension of fun to your sailing. The spinnaker is a large sail that can only be used when the boat is on a beam reach, broad reach or training run. It cannot be used on a close hauled or close reach point of sailing. Like the other sails on your boat, the spinnaker has 3 corners. They're also called the head, the tack and the clew. The sail is made of a much lighter ripstop sailcloth than the other sails. The head of the sail attaches to the spinnaker halyard and is best tied using a bowline knot. Next, run your hands along the leading edge or luff of the sail until you find the corner tack, which is then fixed to the end of the bowsprit. Again, this is best done with a bowline. Next, attach the retrieval line. This is a continuation of the halyard and is attached to patches on the sail, again with a bowline. Next, you should hoist the sail to check things aren't tangled. When the sail is hoisted, go to the spinnaker sheets and pass one of them around the front of the forestay and through its control fairlead, and the other through the fairlead on the other side of the boat. Tie a figure-of-8 stopper knot in the end of both sheets and then tie both ends of the sheets together using a reef knot. With all the ropes connected correctly, you should then pull the sail into the spinnaker chute by pulling on the retrieval line, but be careful that the sail doesn't get caught around the trolley, as this could cause damage. With the jib rigged, you may choose to relocate the forestay and tie this back to the mast. This prevents the spinnaker from snagging on the wire and also keeps it clear of the jib when furling. You must remember to reconnect the forestay before you lower the jib at the end of your sailing session, otherwise the mast will fall down. We recommend that to start with you practice on light wind days where things happen slowly. When afloat, the first point to understand is when you can actually hoist the sail, and this is best done on a training run. Working together, the helmsman and crew balance the boat to keep it flat. The crew then pulls the spinnaker up using the halyard. This might feel tight because pulling the sail up also pulls the bowsprit out. Watch yourself here as the sail will suddenly pull free from the spinnaker chute, so make sure that you're balanced or even seated to do this. The crew then locks the halyard in the jam cleat. Look above to check the sail is fully hoisted. The crew then moves to pick up the leeward control sheet. This is the one on the same side as the boom. Tension in the spinnaker sheet is crucial to successful spinnaker sailing. To find the best position for the sheet, the crew must constantly be easing and tightening the sheet in small amounts whilst keeping a keen eye on the leading edge of the sail. The crew releases the sheet until the leading edge of the sail just starts to curl. When this point is reached or the sail starts to flap, the crew then pulls the sheet back to the point where the sail stops flapping. This action is continually repeated. As you get better, the leading edge should just be flicking with the sheet being released and tightened by just a few inches at a time. At this point, the sail is set for the optimum airflow and generates the maximum power or drive. Sooner or later, you're going to have to jibe, and in this video we're assuming that you're already proficient at doing this maneuver without the spinnaker and have seen our video on jibing elsewhere on this site. The actions undertaken by the helm are pretty much the same, so we're primarily going to look at what the crew does. Again, you should practice this maneuver in light winds, without the boat moving at significant speed. Turn the boat back onto a training run, which will have the effect of blanketing the spinnaker under the mainsail, which reduces the power in the sail. The normal jibe routine then applies. With the helm carrying out the usual jibe procedure, the crew releases the jib sheet, picks up the new spinnaker control sheet in preparation, and as the boom moves across, sharply pulls the spinnaker across onto the new side with the new spinnaker sheet. Let's look at another jibe. The crew releases the jib sheet from its cleat and then prepares to grab the new spinnaker sheet. The helmsman then turns the boat and pulls the boom across by pulling on the falls of the main sheet, whilst the crew at the same time is pulling on the new spinnaker sheet. The crew pulls the jib smartly across and then returns to play the spinnaker sheet as before. All that's left to do now is to lower the spinnaker. The helm turns the boat back onto a training run and the crew passes him the spinnaker sheet. This keeps the sail under control. The crew then releases the halyard from the cleat and pulls on the retrieval line to stow the spinnaker back inside the chute. The sail and bowsprit are retracted simultaneously by one single line and the sail is stowed in the spinnaker chute. Having perfected light wind spinnaker sailing, now let's look at what happens on a windy day. It's the same, but things happen much quicker. Strong wind sailing with the spinnaker is sailing at its most fun. The power of the wind simply lifts the nose of the boat out of the water, and by moving your weight backwards promotes planing and allows you to travel at much greater speeds than normal. Travelling at speed calls for careful concentration and good teamwork. And good balance is also critical. You must keep the boat flat and be prepared to move your weight extremely quickly around the boat as required. The crew adjust the sail exactly as before, releasing the control sheet until the leading edge flicks and then tightening it a little. The helmsman is continually looking out for gusts of wind on the water, which usually appear as dark patches on the surface. When the dark patch hits the boat, the helmsman reacts immediately by pulling the tiller slightly away from the sail. This makes the boat turn away from the wind slightly. This directs more of the wind's force to driving the boat forwards. And as the boat turns away from the wind, the crew eases the spinnaker sheet just a little bit to encourage the lip of the sail just to flick as before. When you feel the gust of wind having passed you, the helmsman then turns the boat slightly back towards the wind. This combination of turning the boat away from the wind when the gust hits and back towards the wind when it's passed allows you to successfully get the best out of the wind. Now let's look at jibing on a windy day. Unless you have to jibe, it's a good idea for any gusts of wind to pass you by before attempting to jibe, as clearly this will keep you more in control. The helmsman checks the area is clear, the crew releases the jib sheet, the helmsman initiates the turn, the crew pulls the spinnaker across and then plays the spinnaker sheet as before, and then tightens the jib. Let's look again, but in slow motion. The helmsman checks the area is clear. The crew releases the jib sheet from the old side and is prepared to pick up the spinnaker sheet on the new side. The helmsman then initiates the turn as in any normal jibe, and the crew sharply pulls the spinnaker sheet across to the new side. Both helmsman and crew move their weight quickly onto the windward side of the boat, with the crew paying attention to the leading edge of the spinnaker as before. Quick movement here is vital to prevent the boat from capsizing. Returning to tighten the jib when they have a moment, the crew is concentrating hard on keeping the spinnaker set well. Both helm and crew balancing the boat then sails off. Looking again at full speed. Wait for the gust of wind to pass and the boat drops off the plane. The helmsman looks to check the area is clear, the crew releases the jib, the helmsman initiates the turn. The crew pulls the spinnaker across, both helm and crew balance the boat quickly, and then the crew trims the spinnaker, dealing with the jib when they have a moment. And then sail off as normal. All that's left now is to lower the spinnaker. So let's have a look at what happens in slow motion. To do this, the helm should turn the boat back onto the training run to allow the spinnaker to be blanketed by the mainsail. The jib will also lose power and flop like this. When the sail is limp, the crew moves to the centre line of the boat and releases the spinnaker halyard from the jam cleat and pulls on the retrieval line. The sail and bowsprit are then retracted simultaneously by this one single line, and the sail is stowed safely in the spinnaker chute. The boat is now ready to turn back onto the wind as required. It is a certainty that you will capsize at some point with your spinnaker up. No matter how experienced you become, the extra power of the sail will lead to inevitable capsizes. In this video, we assume you've already watched the capsize video elsewhere on this site. The only difference here is what you do with the extra sail. As with normal capsize, the heavier person will swim around to the centerboard, leaving the lighter person inside the cockpit. In this example, the crew then releases the spinnaker halyard and simply pulls the sail back inside its launching chute with the retrieval line. This makes things a lot easier later on and will make it safer once the boat is upright. Once the sail is lowered, the conventional capsize procedure then applies. Key learning points. The spinnaker is a large sail that can only be used when the boat is on a beam reach, broad reach or training run. It cannot be used on a close hauled or close reach point of sailing. When rigging, ensure all the control sheets are outside any other rigging, including the retrieval line. Use a bowline knot to secure the halyard. Run your hands along the leading edge of the sail when rigging to make sure it isn't tangled. Tie the ends of the sheet together to allow better control when jibing. If your forestay is removable, it's advisable to relocate this to the mast, like this, to prevent the wire snagging the sail. The sail is launched from a chute at the bow of the boat and is hoisted with its own halyard. Hoist the sail on a training run point of sailing, and then adjust your point of sailing to get where you want to go. The crew is responsible for managing the sail. Release and tighten the spinnaker control sheets to find the point where the edge of the sail starts to curl. This is the most efficient setting for the sail. Turn the boat away from the wind when the gust hits and then turn back when it's passed. During the jibe, the crew pulls the sail across. To drop the sail, turn the boat until the head sail flops, like this. Next steps. Watch this video enough times so you understand the techniques of how to handle the spinnaker. Use the script and glossary accompanying this video if you need more detail. Practice using the sail in light wind days before venturing out on windy days.